topic. I did do support research though, so I can always add more points and just bring them up at the end too as needed.
Okay. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, welcome everybody to Le Cucui, a podcast where we talk about random crap. To be honest, today's topic is overpowered characters, mainly in fighting games. No, if I covered more genres, this cast would be way too long.
I could name a bunch of RPG characters.
That.
So we all know what a tier list is. Obviously, I'd hope. They're so popular.
Well, explain it to those who don't know what a tier list is.
Let's do it.
For the two
Okay,
people
a
out
tier
there.
list is just a measuring chart where you basically put characters in a tier, and every character in a tier is about the same strength. And then, of course, a tier that's higher is better. Obviously, there's always top tiers, and there's always low tiers. With overpowered characters, they're different because they're like, oh, they're so powerful that they're kind of like sometimes game warping.
Either they're banned or they're in their own tier.
Rarely is a character banned for being overpowered, actually. Usually a character is banned for logistical issues.
Yeah, but sometimes they can be so OP that no one wants to actually see them in tournament.
That actually brings up me to my first example of an overpowered character. Street Fighter 2 Akuma.
Oh dear lord.
Actually, that's
Basically,
funny
Ryu.
because that's one of the ones I thought of too. But go on.
Great minds think alike moment. So everyone knows Ryu, Fireball, Dragon Punch, blah blah blah. Imagine that, but he could throw air fireballs, and this was so like broken because no character had good options against
And you
it.
said
You
Street
gotta throw,
Fighter 2 Turbo Akuma, right?
yeah, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Akuma.
Yep.
What a mouthful.
Yep.
Uh, of course, he
His
had other.
original debut. At least the first time he was playable.
Yeah, no, that was his debut. Mind you, the nerfed version that you play as is still overpowered because he does so much damage. He has absurd zoning. Blah blah blah. We've all heard the story. He was banned because he has no losing matchups.
It must have been more broken than Brawl Meta Knight.
Maybe
I know
debatable.
I know Brawl Meta Knight was kind of an issue in terms like I think Meta Knight was one of like I don't know how many reasons they had for it, but I think Meta Knight was one of the reasons in Brawl they even had a ledge grab limit.
Yeah.
And then like that
They
character
were
could just
all
camp by could just grab ledge for his ability back over and over again, but also while when he lets go he can just bam up airs um right next to the ledge. So they were all transcendent too, so you just couldn't challenge them anyways.
Yeah, unchallengeable hitboxes.
Yeah, so you just kinda had to let him sit there. A lot of the since Meta Knight had a lot of unchallengeable hitboxes, the main way of playing against him is to actually punish him. Although a lot of stuff has very tight punish windows, so you have to like actually like read the follow up option that they do and punish that.
And this was
Yeah.
before Smash Bros. Had staling on the ledge.
That was only introduced in what, Ultimate or Smash 4?
Smash 4, you're talking about, or stealing by
No, it was
ledge?
either for yeah, where like you can't stay invincible forever every single time you're on the
Yeah,
ledge.
that's Smash 4 that introduced that. Smash 4 didn't give you ledge invincibility back at all.
Yeah. For other examples of overpowered characters, now people who are in my same space would know this. People outside of want to know. Tekken 5 Steve, a character who kills you in one touch.
We saw about Leroy too.
Oh, we'll get to him in a bit. I don't rapid fire this, of course. Steve, character who could do basically everything. He can dodge your attacks really easily, and then if he whiff punishes you once, you die. Basically.
Did he just
Yeah,
have like a true zero to did he just have like a true 0 to 80% or 0 to 90% of your life bar kind of combo?
and infinite.
Gotcha. And how hard was it to set up this infinite, or what how situational was it exactly?
Very easy. All he had to do was use. So every character has sidestepping, but he has unique sidesteps. All he had to do is unique sidestep left, and then start an attack from the side, like a side hit. and then you lose.
Specifically left, not right, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why's that? Unless the unique only goes left, then that's probably why.
Well, his unique sidesteps have different moves from each other.
But it's a unique left that has a specific move that goes into the infinite. That's why you said left then.
Yes. And
Okay.
that's a pretty easy win condition to set up. And even if he can't get that win condition, he's still overpowered in a bunch of other ways.
Yeah, infinites in Tekken are very rare, at least true ones. There are many fake ones.
Yeah. Golden mentioned Tekken 7 Leroy, and I can sum up that character and how much of a train wreck he was. 6 out of 8 Evo. What's it got? No, sorry. 6 out of the top 8 Evo finalists were Leroy players. I think that's more than Bayonetta, if I'm not mistaken. Where's it 7 out of 8? It was like more. He was more dominant in Tekken 7 pre-patch than
Mm-hmm.
Bayonetta was.
Huh.
And that's generally absurd. And someone could go,
Yeah, no,
"Why did some
having
people?"
80% of top players all be the same character is pretty telling.
Yeah, and if someone's like, "Okay, why would everyone drop their main just to pick one character?" And the simple answer is, he is a better version of your character. That is why Leroy is broken. That's the easiest way I can sum it up. He is your character, but better.
Yeah.
Even after the patch, he was still broken. He was just less broken.
Yeah, pretty much.
Huh.
Well, he was dominant for a while. Sorry, I had to swallow. He had a whole patch dedicated to nerfing him. Just him. And they wanted to nerf him before Evo, but they didn't have the time to because of scheduling issues. So he was just left to terrorize the biggest tournament in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other fighting game off the top of my head where a character needed an entire patch dedicated to them just because they were so OP.
I know this is a fighting game character, but a shooter game character that was like really OP when they were released back then for Overwatch was Bridget. Do you guys know what like a dive meta is essentially?
I've heard of it. I trying to remember what it was.
It's essentially an aggressive high mobility team composition that is supposed to like engage and eliminate your opponents quickly. Usually support heroes fall under this category before like the enemy team can react. Um,
Something.
so the
It
Bridget when she was released, her kit was designed to shut down dive meta strategies, but it did it way too effectively. Like she had very high survivability because she had a shield plus armor. If you could even get past her shield, she had a crowd control that would basically stun everyone around her. Extremely fast healing. So she was basically a mini tank that could support herself. And also she could just single handedly destroy flankers too.
Dang.
sounds obnoxious.
What's up? Yeah, this was back in like 2018 or 2019, but she's just she was designed to defeat him to be a counter pick towards a certain meta type, right? That was going on during the time, and she just did it so effectively. Like she was destroying it.
She redefined the meta.
Yeah, that's basically what she
Instead of
did.
becoming an anti-meta, she became the new meta.
Yeah, a lot of people were picking Bridget, and they were, and she was very not. Beside all of this, she was also just very easy to play.
Typical.
So,
So I have 3 more examples, and the third one will go into the next part of the into the next segment. So try to rapid fire these.
mm-hmm.
Mortal Kombat 12, I refuse to call it MK1, as Homelander. And even though he's not the best character in the game, he's still considered top 2. The reason I bring him up is because I don't know what NetherRealm Studios was smoking when they made this character. So imagine a rushdown zoner grappler.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, pretty easy to
It doesn't
understand.
even sound like it makes sense.
I know it doesn't. So there you go. Nullify like half the cast because why would you play as anyone if you could just be all 3 main archetypes at once? Thanks, NRS. Street Fighter 6 has JP. he is basically top 2 as well. So imagine Marth with a gun and traps.
Oh, so
Literal
so you
traps.
said Marth with the gun and trap. So you're basically saying Marth, but with like fox camping, and then also he gets to set up traps like Snake.
It's more like, I guess a more comparable fireball would actually be more like Wolf's gun, and then yeah, bombs. That sound like fun? Yeah,
It's
Like,
beat
I know
it's
that would be so
beatable.
fun.
It's beatable. It's just that not very easily because they seem to do everything so well. So no matter what opening you find, you're gonna have to like somewhat challenge them, which is already difficult to do.
I hate
yeah,
JP so much, bro. He's so
like,
annoying.
yeah, um, and Capcom does not seem to want to nerf that character. He got compensation buffs for like the slight nerfs he got this patch, and I'm about to get into that with this last example. We're going back to I think it was 2009 when this character got added. Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition Yoon, one of the
Mm-hmm.
twin. He
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
he was not the best character per se, but I'll
Oh.
get into why interesting.
Hey Zool,
He
how's
was
it
a
going? Oh, and then hi Master Tetsuo. What's up?
so um Yoon was a very high mobility rushdown character with an insane neutral game.
Was you in the Street Fighter character?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
4.
Street Fighter character. Street Fighter
Oh,
4.
okay. No, I figured I was trying to remember because I think I played against a friend before back then.
Yeah. So, despite being a powerful rushdown character, Yoon for some reason also had some of the best defensive tools and some of the best 50-50s in the game for
Mm-hmm.
some reason.
Huh.
And someone's like, okay, why was this character so overpowered? Because Capcom willed him to be. They apparently said that they wanted him to be top tier on purpose to recapture the what's it called? The hype moments of Street Fighter 3 when he was added.
Oh.
I'm like, so they were making him overpowered, making characters overpowered on purpose all the way back in 2009.
Just for the sake of hyping a character up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zool, we're
Now we'll
talking
explain why
about
JP
OP
is so
characters.
broken.
Yeah, Zool, we're talking about OP characters.
I mean, JP was the new big villain of Street Fighter 6, so of course they made him broken.
Yeah. Well, they didn't do that to Nikali in Street Fighter 5. He sucked, so. Now, of course, this we're now finally going to go into another segment. I just wanted to wrap
Zool
up.
Zool said
So,
no, you're good. Zool said he knows this would qualify as very low hanging fruit, but Meta Knight is a very obvious case of an OP character. Yeah, you're right. We did talk about Meta Knight pretty early on already, but yeah, he's
yeah.
he's an OP monk. Not monkey. What
Meta
is
Knight
he?
and Bayonetta were the only two Smash characters I know of who have been banned on certain tournaments.
Now, Steve has been as well.
Okay, yeah, Steve. Those three have had bans on certain tournaments before.
Okay, fine. I'll host a Smash tournament and ban Pikachu in 64 and ban Melee Fox.
Those are the two characters that usually don't get banned.
Exactly why I'm banning them, so then we can say they all got banned.
Shut up.
Does it count now? Does it count? Yes, it counts. I banned them for my tournaments.
Oh my
Because yeah,
god.
Pikachu's dumb, but he wasn't like that broken compared to the other top tiers.
I agree with you. He wasn't that broken compared to the other top tiers, but Pikachu could still had very OP stalling where he had to you had to be very technical and quick with it, and you couldn't mess it up or you would die. But essentially, you would keep quick attacking on and off ledge over and over and over again in 64, and because you're in quick attack and also on ledge repeatedly in the animation, you're just stuck in invincibility frames.
I'm sure they at least ban that move. It's just that they can't. They don't ban Pikachu. They just ban you able to do that specific combo.
Yeah. Oh, Zool also said in a game where no one has combos, tripping happens can randomly happen if you run or dash dance too much and everyone is slow in the air. He's got the best air mobility in the game, has actual combos, and every single one of his special moves helps him recover. Also, since he spends most of the time airborne, he bypasses tripping entirely. Yeah.
Yep. So now that we rapid fire those 7 examples out of the way, I want to start with a talking point. This is why I brought up Street Fighter 4 Yoon. Yoon is not technically the most OP character on the list or anything. These devs know what they're doing. Always knew what they were doing to some degree. They sometimes think that they don't know what they're doing because honestly, some of their decision making is insane. But
Mm-hmm.
if a developer wants a character to be strong, they know how to do it.
They do.
Yeah, unless they're like
I
a
know.
new dev, or if it's
So
like a Kusoge.
one of the I know like one of the reasons they can make them like a character so OP is sometimes, and I'm not talking about Smash strictly, but like when they make DLC for any fighting game in general, they'll make a they'll make a new DLC character OP so that everyone buys and plays them immediately. Essentially, it's like a cash grab or a money grab by making the DLC good. You or a character good if they end up as DLC. They're essentially giving people an incentive to get the character because like, hey, look, they're good.
Yeah. Sorry, had a cough. Anything you wanted to say, Golden? I thought you were saying something.
Yeah, there are. I mean, you say usually they know what they're doing, but I think there are some devs who don't. Like, especially ones that tried making a fighting game for the first time. Obviously, those are just balanced bad because it was new to them.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Especially some older games from like the 80s and 90s, I could definitely tell the
Hey, you
personality.
know, guys, before we continue going, just so I'm not the only one just so I'm not interrupting people anymore on this, and you guys can actually respond to them yourselves too. While I'm streaming this screen, I'm also gonna stream to you guys my um. Hold on,
You can keep an eye on the chat. Yeah,
I'm gonna stream to you guys where the chat is at, so you can read it too.
Okay.
that would help.
There we go. So now you guys have access to that. So you guys are able to reply to Zool as well if you want to while you're in the middle of talking, so that instead of me talking over you, you guys can reply to chat too. No, that's a little bit small, so I'm actually gonna make the chat box a little bit bigger for you guys. Um, Give me one sec. This is actually coming up. Okay, that should be big enough. But you can continue, Jiren.
Okay. But yeah, no, back in the day, obviously, fighting games were in a weird experimental phase, so obviously balance was all over the place back then. But in the modern day, like, it's become pretty standard on how you're supposed to design a character in fighting games. And a lot of the developers who make a lot of the fighting games you play are usually developers that have made a ton of games already. So they should know what they're doing when they're balancing a character. And
Gotcha.
honestly, it makes me think they are doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hold on. Master Tetsu, no, you don't have to use Twitch.
No, we
Um,
this is both on. I can see both comments from Twitch and from YouTube. And then as for Zool, sure, if you want to bring up COD or Bayonetta because DLC was brought up, you can. Um,
so right, like Golden said, like for a lot of '90s games, yeah, no. And the other thing about it is that back then they had way less dev time. But even then, um, if they wanted a character to be strong, all they had to do was just give them like a bunch of special moves and absurd combos, and they already knew how to do that by then.
mm-hmm.
Another thing about what's it called? Another thing about overpowered characters is the concept of overshadowing. As in, why should I play this character if there is another character that does everything they do but better? So like Leroy and Homelander, for example, like why would I pick any character but Leroy? He does what my character does but better.
Now, obviously, there are some games where the balance is a little off, but that's more due to like lack of playtesting or some kind of hindsight. Because I've learned this too when I've designed stuff, where sometimes things end up being a little bit less balanced than you think it is. Um, and that's why you have to take a lot of time to polish and balance the game out over time. It's a slow process if you want to actually make the balance very even.
Yeah.
As in fighting games, I imagine that must be incredibly delicate and even harder to do than in some other genres.
So I was gonna um Oh wait, no, that already got brought up earlier. I'm actually good on this on these points here, so I'll just probably listen to you guys for a while before I add some other stuff on here.
Okay. So the reason I bring up overshadowing is because you see developers are like, oh, if a character overshadows another one, that's bad because then less people are playing the other characters. Everyone's just playing one character. And most people don't really like over centralization very much. It usually doesn't make a very healthy meta.
I usually
Yeah.
like it if most of the roster gets representation in the meta.
So one solution that modern fighting games seem to have sort of come to an agreement is just make everyone OP.
Uh,
Like Syndrome.
that's
Everyone's
true.
OP. No one.
They did do that with the
Yeah,
mod for Brawl Minus back in the day too, where the concept was to make every character so OP nobody is. I remember telling Hellraiser that like Diddy Kong actually just auto kills you with down tilt, and he said that was stupid, and I said I know.
yeah. It is
But
kind of
yeah,
funny.
Hell's right though. He's like, if everyone's super, then nobody will be.
Um,
They like, and it's weird, but because let me sorry, I have to swallow. I don't know why. How they do it is they don't actually make the character's top power level better. Oldest top tiers are way stronger than modern top tiers. Generally speaking, it's just that they up the power level of everybody. Like today's low tiers would body most mid tiers of old games.
yeah, our low tiers for most new games are actually like good characters overshadowed by better characters.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like you
Uh,
get characters who are well rounded for the mid tiers, and there's characters who are well rounded but better as the high tiers, and then there's characters who aren't quite all the way rounded as the low tiers.
pretty much.
Do you guys know
Most
if?
low.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Oh, I'm kind of changing points here in a sec, so that's why I kind of want to let you finish first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, modern low tiers are designed to be workable.
Mm-hmm.
That's all
Yeah.
I'm finishing.
Okay. I was gonna say, so have you guys kind of like I'm gonna kind of call it like the oops factor, like where they accidentally make a character good, and I can think of a few reasons for this. One of them is the high skill ceiling sort of thing, where when devs test for like devs are basically testing for like the average player. So they're not gonna. So then usually when the pro player finds a combo or exploits that something that the devs didn't find or didn't imagine was a thing, so sometimes that kind of ends up happening. Just something that the devs didn't see coming, just kind of just seemed to happen. Also,
Yeah.
there's like um I couldn't find any examples for this, but there's something else like Hellraiser being pretty good at math over here. There's something like the math trap or whatever, where like a small 2% buff to speed might not seem like much, but when combined with like a 5% damage buff, the character can become a frame trap nightmare.
I'm trying to remember the context of this.
It depends on what the speed can be used for.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the context now because I do remember saying something like this. I'm just trying to remember when I said it and what it was about. But I think it just meant character stats. I think I was saying
Mm-hmm.
like, um, yeah, no. If the most powerful combinations usually tends to be like spreading out your stat buffs instead of just investing in one thing. So I think that's where I got the idea that like if you have a slight increase in speed and attack, it's better than if you just had a straight increase in speed or attack.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
And yeah, the problem is with characters now is that they don't have like strengths and weaknesses. They're just good at everything.
Bizual.
And this probably and then this other example I only thought of because of Smash, but So it doesn't really apply to normal fighting games, I guess. But essentially, a character might be like completely fine alone, but becomes really broken when paired with a specific character in doubles.
Oh
Like
yeah,
like for example, like Lucario can become extremely broken with a teammate, or like back then it's not really viable nowadays, but back in the day in Smash 4 days, like Game and Wash and Ness is like super OP because Ness would just fill Game and Wash's bucket, and then Game and Wash would get a lot of early kills in doubles.
yeah. So the equivalent to that would be like tag fighters and team fighters, like King of Fighters or Tekken Tag or like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, where team composition is huge.
Yeah.
Or like the Marvel games.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's also Jump Force as well.
Oh yeah, that one was
No one
Tekken
plays that
15.
anymore.
What's up?
I don't think anyone plays that one anymore.
I play it occasionally, just casually with friends when I have like Cody over or something.
You can't even buy that
Yeah,
game
I
anymore.
just don't know if there's much of a meta these
No,
days. I'm
you
guessing.
can't buy it anymore, but I still have it with all the DLC. So
Nice.
they can remove it from the Steam library, but they can't remove it from my downloads. And if they did, then I'd be very impressed.
Yeah.
Someone needs to upload a copy on the Internet Archives for preservation.
They
I'm
probably already did.
pretty sure someone already
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
So, uh, actually, now that we mentioned, if everyone's OP, I'm actually gonna get into this because I mean, I already made the video, but this is not strictly about just the patch itself.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up a modern case study of everyone being too overpowered, not working out. Tekken 8. Oh boy. So last week, yeah, literally last Monday, Tekken 8 had a new patch because it's a new season, and it was bad because it was more of the same. So, quick crash course again for anyone who doesn't know.
Right.
Tekken 8
Uh huh.
uh, decided to be aggressive. They decided to want to go in the opposite direction of Tekken 7. So they decide if we give every character more and more steroids, people like the game more. People like having more options, right? That's like human psychology 101.
Yes, that's correct.
It turns out, however, that giving every character the same types of steroids doesn't really inspire what's it called? A big variety of gameplay. A lot of
Right.
characters started feeling the same in season 2. And so we were hoping for 8 months, we had to wait 8 months for this patch, for them to go, okay, reintroduce character weaknesses and fix the game. We pointed out like so many problems with the game. And they did nothing with it. So season 3 is just more of the same. Characters are even more overpowered for the most part. Most characters got buffed. Some characters who were already strong got even more buffed.
Yeah, because King needed another stance into a grab.
Actually, he didn't get it. Oh wait, well he got a
Well,
new mix up in his stance, but yeah,
that's what I meant. Like he got another grab off a stance.
yeah. So how this relates to overpowered characters is simple. They buffed their wrong things because so earlier Golden mentioned Kusoges, and you guys don't have to know the literal translation, but basically just means a broken game, typically filled with overpowered characters. Typically,
Hmm.
and the thing that makes Kusoges playable is that offense and defense is overpowered. Like imagine if everything in a game is overpowered.
Hmm.
If that makes sense, like movement, defense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Tekken is just offense.
Say that again, Golden. Sorry, I was swallowing.
Yeah, it's almost like Tekken 8, except Tekken 8 doesn't have the good defense, it just has the good offense mostly.
Yeah, there you go. Bingo. Tekken 8 only decided to buff offense for the most part. More coin flips. The game is now easier, so it's easier to enforce coin flips. And there's like nothing you can do because you can't move. This game has so many moves that beat sidestep now that you just can't move. It's really unreliable to move, and they nerfed backdash as hard in this game, so it's really hard to create space in a two-dimensional plane or a three-dimensional plane. So it doesn't even fulfill the proper qualifications of a Kusoga in the sense that like it's too simple. It's like super streamlined in terms of pure coin flip potential.
Yeah, you're basically playing a slot machine when you're playing Tekken 8.
It feels that way. So, if anyone wonders why Tekken players are quitting the game, that's why, because they are. They decided that characters don't need weaknesses, which sounds like it means we're buffing defense, but we're really not. Everything just goes back into offense.
It's amazing we even got here because I remember during the first year hearing people talk about how good this game is, and I was like, I'm hearing the opposite.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
really
they're all
switched.
migrating to Tekken 7 now.
What were you gonna say,
Not
Tony?
even, sorry, not even Tekken 7, just any older Tekken. But I was gonna say was they, yeah, no, the game started off decent. It was getting better by season 1.5, and
Mm-hmm.
then season 2 dropped, and it was like pain. Now
Uh huh.
season
Yeah, it was like
3
a
dropped.
nuclear bomb dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. And now, so when season 3 dropped, basically I've never seen people this depressed about their game. It's like their game died because it did. And pros and content creators alike are either quitting or just branching out.
Mm-hmm. God.
Yeah, Tekken 8 did used to be a game I could enjoy, but Season 2 ruined the game for me.
So if the developers want the game to still be overpowered, they would have to buff defense and movement a lot. So I think that's the pitfall. Like theoretically, you can make a game where everyone is overpowered and be fun. I mean, that's what a Kusoge basically somewhat is, and that's sort of what Tekken Tag 2 was like. But Bamco doesn't seem to understand this. But
Uh.
I think that's enough of that point. Sorry, what did you just say?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like they think the game would be more fun if it just promotes mashing more. Like, oh yeah, we'll just make all the players brain dead. That makes the game more fun, right?
Yeah. Now, I do have one more talking point, and Tekken 8 actually perfectly leads into this. The concept of character identity. Okay, I know this is getting a little out of the normal idea of like overpowered characters, but when you think of a character who is like good at everything or good at most things, what is their intended identity supposed to be? And the reason I ask this is if you think of a character like even Yoon, who is probably the weakest character on this list somehow, his identity is somewhat clear because he's supposed to be a rushdown character, but yet has absurd defense and a very powerful command grab. Like, why is that given to a rushdown character, you know?
Yeah.
Or like Meta Knight, what is his archetype? I mean, not just archetype, but like, what is his intended weakness is supposed to be? Because if it's supposed to be hitting weak, then they did not succeed in that because he has pretty reliable kill power, even in brawl. In brawl, I mean,
I don't think that was even really the intended weakness, but yeah, no, it's just he's good not because he's designed well. He's good because he's badly designed, in my opinion.
yeah.
Like they really just made
I
him
mean,
excel at
Down B.
everything.
We can't forget about Down B, bros.
What about
I'm
down
out.
B?
That you can just
Infinite
stall it as
Vortex.
long as you want.
Oh yeah, technically, but
Yeah,
it's
but
not
that's
really
bad.
something you have to. There's not really something you have to worry about, except maybe in friendlies because it's banned in tournament.
Yeah, but we were saying that it was so broken because of how it worked.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that becomes like another issue. Like if an overpowered character comes back in a later game, and the developers have to sit down and go, okay, we need to give this character a weakness out to re-identify the character. Now you have to go, okay, what do we do to give this character a weakness? Or even the opposite, like if you have a character who's generally weak because they have too many weaknesses, but it's part of their identity, you now have to go, how do we make this character like viable while still sticking to their identity, like their core strengths and weaknesses? And this has been an issue for some characters for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
like Akuma, because Akuma's identity is that he's supposed to be a better Ryu, basically. How do you make that fair?
Their best attempt was to just make him a glass cannon.
Yeah. And he's been top tier in almost every single Street Fighter game for a good reason. You can't just have a better Ryu and not expect him to be insanely strong.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah, that's honestly the only thing that even keeps Akuma remotely fair is his really low health.
not even, because low health is not that bad. What actually hurts more is low stun. Because then you get dizzy way faster.
So they
Yeah.
tried to make Akuma weaker because he's so strong.
They tried, kind of, sort of, but they give him every privilege in the game, so like they clearly still want him to be good.
That's true.
So, Mexi, you said you had your own talking points, right? I'm sort of. I already got through most of the talking points I got.
Yeah, let me look through them and see cuz I think you brought up enough things to where I got through most of mine too. Let me see here. Oh, I think we already covered this part cuz I was looking at this point over here where to fix OP characters, devs will sometimes just buff everyone else and suddenly the whole game is too fast or too chaotic or too aggressive and too chaotic, but I think you already gave that example with Tekken sort of where like everyone is just super OP.
Yeah, Tekken 8. We
Yeah.
get to this.
Yeah, where they basically just buff everyone. Which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, characters all feel the same in Tekken 8, at least more so than any other game. The characters don't feel diverse anymore.
Well, see, that's actually not strictly because of characters being overpowered. It's just that they wipe away character identity in an attempt to make them overpowered, and there is a difference
There yeah, that's true. I was gonna say there was one point I technically have that we never got to, but it's what happens like so we already talked about the solution of like trying to make everyone else really good so that the OP character is not OP anymore. But there's a thing where like sometimes in a fighting game, a character that's released or a character that's around is like so OP that the devs like panic and kind of just like and but they overcorrect though instead of like nerfing the two OP character like so that they're balanced, they like over nerf them or they overcorrect them so then they go from like S tier to like literal trash.
Oh, I know the funniest example of this.
What's that?
So, you both are aware of Injustice, right? The DC superhero fighting game
Oh
by
fuck yeah, I
NRS.
am. Yeah.
So,
Zoning Hell, right? Or is that the other one?
Tony Hell, kinda, yeah. So in Injustice 1, they brought in Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and he dropped in as top 3, right?
Yep.
Then they decided to nerf him, and a combination of damage nerfs and a nerf to his teleport, there's probably more to it, that's just the ones off the top of my head, made him go from top 3 to bottom 3 overnight.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that player base must have felt like when they went online that morning or that night.
Yeah, literally.
It's like, what do you mean my top tier is bottom tier now?
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
guessing you have Lamexi.
Yeah, that's about all the talking points I have.
Okay. So, with all of this discussion in mind, I now present to you two and the audience, for anyone who's listening, a question. When does a character become too OP? How do we define a character that's too overpowered for the game's health?
Uh, I guess when it comes to it, you would probably ban a character when they're too OP if they completely stop you from playing the game at all.
It doesn't strictly just have to be like banned, because like I said, that's actually really rare to ban a character for being overpowered. But like, when does a character become so overpowered that they're kind of unhealthy?
I
When
think once
everyone's
they get
playing
so
them.
good that they
I would say when
I
everyone's
think
playing them because I can think of an example for that, like where in during Brawl days, every just about the majority of everybody was like playing was just maining Meta Knight, and if they didn't main Meta Knight, they counterpicked to Meta Knight because they just had him in the pocket.
Okay.
Like he was
You Golden.
basically over usage. He was like the ultimate. He was basically just like a secondary everyone should have if you weren't maining him already. Like you didn't have to think too hard. Like who covers all my matchups because it's like well this character already does it.
Yeah.
so kind of similar to that. I was saying I think one way that a character becomes too OP is when they have their own tier where they're alone.
Oh yeah,
Like if
that's
a
a
character's so good that they have their own tier, I'd say that's pretty good grounds to say they're OP.
Yeah, that's true. If a character has their own tier, that probably does mean they're too OP. For me, okay, this doesn't even have to just be the best character in the game, but this could also just be a symptom of another form of game design. But in general, I think a character is too OP if they invalidate the existence of other cast members. So obviously, to me, that would be like an example list. That would be Leroy and Homelander. Because what the hell do you mean that I can just play a character that's easier than mine and is better than mine at my character's own job? Like if I'm playing as a swordy character, but then there's another sword character who also has a gun, who has like insane, like what's it called, like better range than mine and has better frame data than mine. Why would I play my own character?
You know, I don't know why, but this just reminded me of that bad game design and that Kirby game of mine we were playing where we were trying to go through like the story mode together. And I remember you tried one of the Kirby characters you tried picking in this fighting game was a wrestler that could only do primarily mostly just grabs and command grabs. But the bad game design came into aspect was whenever we had a boss battle, your character couldn't access over, I would say, 85% of his move set because most of them were grabs. And what do you know? None of the bosses could be grabbed or command grabbed at all. So they just literally like, so when you gave me this move set, it is not even gonna work on bosses at all. Like what? Like what
Yeah,
kind of design is that? Like I understand it's like my character only has one command grab and it doesn't work on bosses, whatever. But if most of my move set is just grabbing and they don't work on these bosses, then like what am I doing?
yeah, no, that's insane. Like,
I don't think they thought that through very much.
so actually, I bring up my concept of invalidation for an even funnier
Because
reason. Yoon for a quick second. You know how I mentioned he's a rushdown character with a command grab?
yeah.
His EX command grab is throw intangible, which actually leads to some devious mix-ups. But on hit, Yoon's command grab is generally speaking more rewarding than a grappler's command grab. So in some contexts, Yoon is a better grappler than the grapplers.
Nice.
And I'm like, I think that's when you can say a character's probably becoming too OP. When they're doing a better job at a different archetype's role, that's when I think a character's becoming like overbearing.
Now, when people say that a character is just another character but better, that technically it is possible to make a character who does something another character does but better, but still not be OP if something else in their kit makes them worse still.
Yes, of course. But then they're not strictly OP, which is not strictly what we're speaking of.
Yep.
Yeah, but I was saying like that's I was just saying like that's to clarify with it has to
Yeah,
be someone who's not only a better at what other character does, but doesn't even have any compensation for it.
definitely. Like some characters, I swear, it's like, bruh. Obviously, if we want to talk about the most invalidating character of all time, that would be Human Smoke in Mortal Kombat 3, who is just Scorpion but better. He has literally nothing, no downsides.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just Scorpion but faster and more moves. Most
Yeah, there's
blatant upgrade.
like it's I don't even think there's a single thing Scorpion has that's better. Like not one thing.
None. Because it's just the same moveset but with more moves and a better walk speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I want
It's
to play
like
with Scorpion Plus.
pretty much. It's like in Tekken 1, this is definitely such arcade design because I kind of get it, the idea. In Tekken 1, Armor King was just King, but with a crouch dash and a couple extra moves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the good thing they actually made them separate characters with different fighting styles.
Yeah. So that's everything I had written down. You guys got anything else you want to speak on?
I think that concludes this episode, unless Golden Gem Games has anything to say.
You guys kind of already covered the most notable examples for fighting game characters who are OP.
Mm.
Most of them, yes.
There's not really. I don't think there's much reason to try thinking of more examples. I think we got the point across.
All
Yeah,
right. Well,
but
there you have it, folks. That's all we have today. Hellraiser, I believe we'll be taking the. I think we're just gonna move on from here for me just picking all the topics, or if Hellraiser still wants to alternate, I will with him. But Yeah, no.
I'm not gonna lie. Hell's idea, because this was Hell's idea, right? This one.
Yeah, this is Hell's idea.
It kind of gave me ideas for things I could actually do. I was like,
So, do you
I was
still?
like totally blocked. I might do it sometimes if I can come up with something, but if there are times where I can't, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Well, just communicate so that we know if you are leading a week or not, and then we'll figure it out from there. But yeah, no. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, Tetsuo said when there's no way of blocking them and it's just pure spam.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was this one time. There was this one time where I was spamming and I lost. That's good game design right there. That's actually good game design. Now, if I was spamming and I won, that would be bad game design. Either that or the other person's just bad. It's one of the two.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, Coolio. We'll see y'all next